Hello everyone, welcome to ShopDev. So today in this video we are going to have a look at the nullable value types. So let's get started. So you might have encountered the usage or heard about these nullable types. So for example, I'm taking the use of a nullable integer type. So there are two forms in which these can be declared. So either you use nullable int, okay, the generic, or you can use int followed by an integration mark. So what does this mean? It means that a nullable integer type can hold a value of null or an integer value. So these are the two forms that can be used to declare a nullable value types. Okay, and you know, any value type is an instance of the generic System.Nullable T structure found in the .NET framework. Okay, and by definition, a nullable value type T represents all values of its underlying value type T and an additional null value. Like we said here, for integer, nullable type integer, we can hold either an integer value or null values. Take another example. For example, a nullable of bool can hold the values true, false, or null. Okay, so where do we make use of such variables? So consider you have a database in which you have a table where you store apartment numbers, and it might happen that a person doesn't live in an apartment. Okay, so then there'll be an absence of data for the apartment number column. Okay, so this is a scenario where you can use a nullable of int, for example, to store apartment numbers, either to save or load it in your entities, for example. Okay, so let's get into more details about the properties of these nullable types. Well, there are two main properties of this nullable type. Firstly, you have the HasValue method property, which indicates if the instance of a nullable type has a value, meaning that has a value been assigned to that nullable type variable. And secondly, you have the value property, which allows to retrieve the value assigned for later usage. Okay, but you should bear in mind that the value property, if the variable has not been assigned, so this value property throws an invalid operation exception. Okay, so the proper way for using nullable value types is as follows. So this is your variable declaration. Okay, it has been assigned to null, and here I'm assigning a value of 5. So in case you want to access the value of your variable, you must make use of the HasValue property. Okay, in case it was not assigned to 5 and you were accessing the value property directly, it will have thrown a invalid operation exception. Okay, so these are the two forms that was discussed in the introduction section. So both yield the same results. Okay, so we can have a look with a simple demo. Okay, so this is my variable, okay, and assigned to 5, and we just check the values here. So in the first scenario, using the first form should be displaying 5, and the second scenario, the second form would be displaying the value of 7. So let's run the program. Just put a simple breakpoint here. Okay, we just check if our program is displaying the results. So see, the value is 5. Here the value is 7. Okay, so that's our output, 5 and 7. So that's it for this part. Okay, so now let's check if the value hasn't been assigned, what is the output, whether it throws the exception. So So I'll just do some cleanup first. Okay, so in this scenario, we see no value has been assigned to the variable, but you know, in this scenario, Visual Studio knows that it hasn't been assigned in the context, so it is already giving you a warning. But in case you're calling inside the method or you don't know, so here, as you can see, the InvalidOperationException is thrown. So it is a good practice to make use of the HasValue property first before accessing the value. So that's it for the properties. Now let's move to methods. So the value types and nullable value types have two important methods. I mean, overloads of a single method. Yeah. So you have the GetValueOrDefault parameter list and one taking parameters. Okay. So what it does, it simply retrieves the value of the nullable value type in case no value has been assigned to your nullable value type variable, then it will return the default. So consider for an integer nullable value. So if it is assigned to null and we are using the GetValueOrDefault method, so it will give you the default value of 0. Okay, since that 0 is the default value of integers. Now, if you want to specify a specific default value, then you can use the overloads GetValueOrDefault. In this case, I'm specifying 18. I'm using the second overloads, so it will display 18. Okay, and I mean the method will return the value of 18. Okay, so this get default value, I mean this overload is similar to like using null qualis exception operator. Like if this is null, use null qualis and return the value of 18. Okay, so let's have a look with a simple demo. Okay, whether it yields the desired results. Okay, just do some cleanup again. Okay, so now let's check step by step what is the value. So here my nullable integer is not assigned, so it is the value of null. So it displays a value of 0, as you can see in the screen. Okay, and now I'm saying that if it hasn't any value, so return the value of 18. So 18 printed on the screen. So that's it for the methods part. Now let's move to some precautions to be taken with the nullable types. Okay, so here it is recommended by Microsoft that do not use the is operator to determine whether an instance is of nullable value type. Okay, because the is operator cannot distinguish between types of a nullable value type instance and its underlying type. Okay, so consider this single example. So I have a variable which is of type nullable integer and assign it a value of 15. So if I'm doing a verification using the is operator, if the variable is of type int, it will go through, it will display the variable is of type int. Okay, so the condition is true here, even though if it is of type nullable integer. Second scenario, I mean vice versa. So I have an integer variable, okay, having a value of 25, and if I say if my variable is of type nullable integer, okay, and do some operation. So in this case, again, this condition is true. Okay, so here as you can clearly see, that the .NET framework cannot distinguish between these nullable integers and integer type. Okay, so let's check it with a single example. So let's check together. Okay, so here, okay, my variable of nullable integer. Okay, and we're doing the check whether it is an integer. Okay, so true, it goes through. And here my variable is of type int, and we are checking the nullable type of integer. Okay, so again this condition is true. Okay, now what might happen is that if you're doing the checks, so before doing continuing, let's check this is the output. So what might happen in these conditions, so if you're doing the checks, so it might be in that in your code you have these checks in a specific module or method that you might be assessing the variable's value property. So this might throw an exception, so beware of such behavior of the is operator with the nullable types. Okay, so that was my intent for this slide. And now to wrap up, so there are key points to remember for this nullable types. So we have two forms, okay, to declare nullable types. So either you use a nullable keyword, okay, or you can define your type followed by an integration mark. So all these forms are acceptable. And secondly, very important, is accessing the value property can throw an invalid operation exception. So it is recommended that you use the HasValue property before accessing the value property of a nullable type. And the is operator cannot be used to distinguish between types of a nullable value, type instance, and its underlying type instance. So take this into consideration when writing your codes. It is very important. So that's it, guys, for the nullable value types. So if you like the video, please subscribe to my channel and like the video. Thank you. Bye bye.